So if you want to tell us a little about maybe how you started out playing hockey, you go through the whole list from as a kid, and most of all we want to know what influenced you as to become a coach.
Yeah.
You know.
So I started skating like most kids when they were 3 or 4 years old. Eventually played with like the Minuteman Flames. So I grew up in the area. Had a pleasure to work with some really great coaches throughout the years and some really great players. Went on to have a nice career at Shrewsbury High School. Was a captain there and fortunate enough to win a state championship, which was pretty cool. And then went off to play for Assumption College for my collegiate career too. So had a nice playing career and then got into coaching. So I started actually coaching in high school. I started with little kids, teaching them how to skate, doing the knees up and the monster mash as we call it. But then eventually got into more skill stuff and worked with some development camps and junior players and prep school kids to help develop them. And then eventually, I was lucky enough to have Coach Hallis eventually bring me into the program and welcome me in with open arms. And I was the assistant here for 4 years, and I'm now lucky enough to take the reins as the head coach.
And you're also a teacher at the high school.
I am. So
history teacher.
Yeah. So I also teach history at the high school. I teach right now grade 9, 10, and 11. Also the baseball assistant coach for varsity, and I was lucky enough to serve as the fall assistant athletic director as well. So
wow,
I have a few roles. Yeah.
So a lot of you at the volleyball games.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Try to keep it low.
Sure, we'll try and live up to the volleyball expectations.
Did you get anything out of being there? Coach Anderson's obviously he's a very successful coach. He has a successful program. Is there anything that you were able to take from that program to build the hockey program?
Yeah, I think I was able to get a lot of stuff from all the programs, really. I mean, being able to watch volleyball and how they operate, they obviously have a high level of excellence that they expect out of their team, and they've gotten that high level of excellence the last couple of years. I spent quite a bit of time talking to Coach Anderson and kind of being able to pick his brain. He's been there for a while and he's had great success, but I was able to kind of be around some different coaches, different sports, and sometimes it's a nice way of getting a different perspective on how to treat kids and how different games work. And I was able to even get some different coaching ideas from people like Coach Anderson and football coaches with Coach Beveridge and the rest of the volleyball staff and field hockey, and we could go down the line. But I was lucky enough to be around some good coaches throughout the fall and kind of pick their brains as to what's worked and maybe what's not worked in the past.
Kind of like Rob. Yeah. We couldn't get him to score in high school. We sent him over to the women's field hockey practice for a few weeks. And he netted his first goal his senior year. It was outstanding.
Yeah, well, very tricky. They don't let you use the back of the stick in field hockey. You got to spin it around. Once I tried spinning the hockey stick around and not trying to go on the backhand, things really
materialized.
burned up for me. Yeah.
If they allowed the backhand, if it was on ice and there was contact, I'd understand it better.
It's very confusing. You're taking over from your predecessor who's been here for a very long time. Sure. So we've had a lot of stuff that has been very standardized. What do you want to keep? What do you want to branch out and change? How do you make this your team?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the things that stay the same are still the priorities that we have as a culture in the hockey program in terms of a family first mentality and making sure to take care of one another and be good citizens throughout the community. So all those standards are in play. The changes is just my style of hockey, which is probably a little bit different than Coach Hallis's and in years past, and mine's just a little maybe newer age, I guess you could say, and I'm excited to use this opportunity to try some new things. So,
What's the difference? A more aggressive forecheck, or what is your approach on the forecheck? I'm into the forecheck. As a matter of fact, if they didn't play defense in hockey, I'd really enjoy it. But anyway, I was brought up. I was coached by
a defense, so we'll talk about a one-way center.
Offensive
Good Lord.
We're gonna have a couple different forechecks that we'll run through this year, without giving out too much detail. Without giving too much detail. But I think the big thing is being able to play to our strengths, and that's kind of where we are right now. We just had first 3 days of tryouts here, and I like the way the team's looking, and now it becomes our job as coaches to kind of find what model works best for them and how we can best use the skills and assets that we have.
So we talked with a bunch of the kids, and we asked them, what kind of game they were thinking that their team would be, what identity they would have. To a T, every single one of them, they are a gritty, bang them, take the puck away in the corners team. This is not the finesse team of the Montreal Canadiens in the 70s. This is going to be a fun team to watch.
I don't disagree with that type of hockey because I do think we have some bigger bodies this year. The Cashmans in particular, you know, three big brothers. We have even a couple freshmen who have some decent size, so that could very well be our identity. We'll just kind of have to figure it out as we go, but yeah, very well could be.
For fans like me that learn the team as the games progress, who are you leaning on this year to provide that leadership and to give you this identity and culture?
Yeah, well, we have 4 great captains this year. We have Connor Cashman and Max Aries, who are assistant captains. They've done a really nice job with the younger crew so far, welcoming them in. And then we have Brendan Martell and Chris Pascal as our 2 captains. And the 4 of them have been absolutely outstanding with, you know, welcoming kids in, but also, you know, keeping tabs with me on, you know, what's going on throughout the school and wanting to make sure that they're on top of the season. And they've certainly been able to get guys ready to go. They've done a really nice job in the off season. They've worked hard, and I think they've done a really good job as to trying to set the standard for the upcoming year.
The word culture keeps popping up, and I think that's great. We talked about it with the volleyball team, and they have the backing of the entire town. How do we get that going with hockey? And I think we've made a great first step. I'm in charge of this,
listen
right?
to them. Wow.
You have done a great job. So
the program has made a great decision in getting the 8th graders involved. How do you get them to buy into this culture and even start it lower with younger kids?
Yeah, and that is one of the major changes this year is we were granted the waiver by the state to welcome in the 8th graders to kind of fill in the JV program, which is awesome. It gives them an opportunity to be part of our program and start building the culture down there towards the lower levels in Gibbons, because my perspective is the sooner we can get them in, the better. I have been in touch with some of those younger crew coaches, the North Stars and the Triborough, and even my captains brought it up the other day that they like to maybe, you know, show some face in some of those practices to you know, help out the little kids, and I think that really goes a long way. I know me being a little kid and being around the Westboro hockey program, and my dad was the coach at one point, like seeing bigger guys out there was always like a really cool thing for me. Because you physically looked up to them, but you looked up to them in terms of, you know, high regards, and so that's something that we're certainly going to be working on. And then the other piece of it is just being out there in the community. So we'll be over at the Civic Club this weekend doing the Christmas trees as usual. But just that element of community engagement and being visible, I think, will go a long way.
I feel like the modern day, back when he was a freshman, he would get wedgied by a guy named Ray Shafee, but the modern day athlete, these kids are far more nurturing, I feel like, to the younger athletes.
So you talk about that, Chris, and Coach actually mentioned it earlier too. The senior leadership, they have been very welcoming during that fall period of time. Those freshmen that were kind of getting introduced to the group, they were welcomed in once. No atomic wedgies at all.
None.
Nope.
Things have changed. That's for the better.
Yeah,
it's good to hear. That's good to hear.
My son liked what you ran the practice and you ran it really well. Are you still in that role, or do you sort of let the assistants and do you oversee?
Yeah, so I've taken charge of the practice the last few days, just as I try and kind of build my own sort of status or whatever we want to call it. But I do lean on the assistant coaches quite a bit. My dad is going to be back. Ed Belbin's going to be back as the JV head coach and assistant varsity. We've also brought in Steve Barrier as a coach to help out with the goalies. And then my younger brother, Pete Belbin, actually just graduated from UMass Lowell, so he's going to hop on the staff too. So I certainly am in contact with them, and they help me plan pretty much everything. So
that's great.
Yeah, it's a collaborative effort for sure.
Fantastic.
We take a look at what's coming up here in the next few weeks. We asked the kids who their favorite opponent to play was. Every one of them, Algonquin was the answer, with a little sprinkling of Marlborough in there. I think a lot of that's the familiarity of the youth programs. I assume you feel similar. Who do you like to see glaring across the bench when you look to your left or right?
Well, growing up playing Central Mass hockey, I have strong feelings towards many teams. But I know the kids like the Algonquin game. It's a little bit of a rivalry. We're going to get a really cool game this year with Algonquin at the DCU Center. So we're actually going to take it to the next level, and we'll be over the DCU Center for a game this year.
Get your fog
Yes.
machine fired up for that
Tickets.
one.
Very,
Yeah,
very
we got to get the
exciting.
press box
Fast.
open, right?
Followed by a Railers game, so you can double dip too if you'd like.
Wow.
So I think that's one the kids have been extremely
You're not coming out in
excited
between
for.
the periods, are you? Like
There's
No,
a three,
no,
it's a
no.
3-minute
Okay,
game.
The referee is going to be dressed as a
That
shadow.
that was my glory days right there.
Giant 6-foot cat's gonna drop the puck.
That's our neighbor, actually, by the way, the cat. That's our neighbor.
Yeah.
It's one of those. It's
Yeah.
the neighbor. I forget his
Jeff,
name.
Jeff, right? Spofford?
Jeff Spofford
Yep.
was scratched the cat until he took a bad fall and I think really damaged his knee. I think he screwed up his knee, but he was good. He could move out there when he was scratched.
Good cat.
I'd never seen Scratch move until like that.
We could
until
do
Spofford
a
took it over.
month-long series on your neighborhood. Oh,
All right.
I would love it. I would love it.
I thought Scratch was one of his major influences growing up as a Westboroite, but maybe not.
So Algonquin, obviously the big rival. Other dates you've got circled on the calendar?
I think we're really excited to play every team. I know the kids like the Algonquin one. They like the Marlboro one.
It's a tri-borough connection.
The little tri-borough connection there. Some teams have given us some trouble in the past, like a Hopedale. So I think some of the upperclassmen are eager to maybe get a win against some of those more competitive teams that we've had a challenge in the past. But we're excited for any challenge that's thrown at us, really.
Another team I saw sprinkled into the schedule will have some familiarity. Assabet appearing this year.
Wow.
Yeah, they are going to appear this year. So we do have a couple new teams that maybe we haven't seen in a while, and it'll be a good challenge for us and the coaching staff, and a good challenge for the kids too, because it's unfamiliar faces. So we'll see what happens.
Preseason rankings in high school and college sports to me are just garbage. But are there any teams out there that are known to be or that you think are going to be strong this year?
I certainly expect the teams that are typically strong to be strong again. Marlboro's had some really good numbers. They've had good goaltending in the past. Algonquin looks to be strong again. Those are probably the two big ones. Hopedale always seems to find new bodies from who knows where. So
To kind of talk about how Westboro is a hockey town. I mean, I think a lot of that has to do with having the rink, down the street, 3 sheets right there, and there's plenty of ice elsewhere. But, I think other sports have certainly had their successes and their waves. Certainly volleyball is extremely popular right now, but I think the hockey program has deep, deep roots, and it's something that this the community really, really feels strongly about. I mean, members of the first team that you still associate with.
Can you imagine that? The Ravines, the Teppers, the Coach Lynch, legends.
Yeah,
absolute
there's a lot
legends.
of hockey, and the Campbell family, of course, in town
and
too.
they all dabbled with Westboro High hockey and just truly built it to what it is today. A lot of people influenced that. And the Belbins have really carried the torch here for about 20 years. It's
that's why it's
fantastic.
quite the honor to be able to take it over. Yep.
Now, how many lines do you typically see yourself flipping out here with the varsity team? Do you play 3 lines? Are you deep enough to play 4? How does that look?
Right now, we're still trying to get a read on everybody because we've only seen them for 3 days here. We certainly, like you had alluded to, we've lost quite a few. So we lost 12 players. So we have a lot of spots to kind of fill, and we'll see how things shake out. Ideally, I'd like to see at least 3 lines running. For us, obviously the perfect world, but we'll kind of have to see how things kind of shake out here.
Chris Coach says, he's only seen these guys for 3 days. One of them off ice training. Would have
Off-ice
ended
training.
both of our careers on the same day. Had to do
Outdoors, nonetheless.
Oh,
Outdoors.
jeez,
Wow.
that is.
Now, unlike him, I do believe in fitness and physiology and training. So, what's your thought on conditioning, which is a huge part of this sport, obviously?
Yeah, and that's been a little bit of a change that's happened over the last couple months, I feel like. The kids were actually in the gym throughout the summer with each other and working out, and so that was kind of a focus going into this. We did spend day 2 doing off-ice conditioning up on the upper turf. It was 30, 34, 35 degrees out. But they did awesome. I mean, we went through some shuttle runs and some hockey workout circuit kind of stuff. I think it's a really big piece that we're going to have to incorporate because we do have a very young team. So being able to get them physically ready is going to be a big part of what we focus on this year.
That's great. Do you guys do any off-season conditioning? Do you get your hands on these guys, give them strength conditioning workouts? Is there someone that comes to the area, consults? Are there camps that they go to?
I have volunteered to lead most of those physical fitness events.
Don't.
No,
We want the kids to get
didn't take me up on
stronger and faster, not slower and older.
Tell me if the rumor is true.
Oh boy.
No more ties on the bus. Shirt and tie.
Away games on the bus, that is true.
No more.
No more.
Is it true they're going to be wearing matching sweatsuits?
If they chose to purchase one, yes. Yep.
Good for them.
Well,
I'd never do well with a clip-on tie.
Let me
I
see
did.
if I can wind this together. We were talking about my physical fitness. Lenny immediately pictured a leisure suit,
Yes.
and that's probably what triggered that thought
I figured
process.
if I saw him in a matching sweatsuit, I think because as to show solidarity, we would of course all buy the same.
Oh, can we buy these online? Or there's some new gear for the fans?
I think
to buy?
Waha may buy in Forest.
There will
Chris.
be. I believe end of this week there might be some online merch we can get. So
Wow.
yeah,
That's nice.
We can find that
we can
at
certainly set you up.
Westboro High School website.
Yep, there's the Westboro Athletics has their own one. You can go and kind of customize whatever you'd like.
Good.
Hopefully there's instructions on how to tie a tie in there so that you can learn that. I think that's the only reason I made the hockey team. I was the only one who could tie a tie. Leaving the third period, I probably did 20 of them, took them off me and put them on everybody
We would
else.
just hand them our ties. He
I
would
thought it was
tie 'em,
because they
we'd
needed 6 guys.
Yeah, that was my major contribution.
Have any scrimmages lined up, or when do we kick things off?
Yeah, so we are gonna kick off this Saturday with the Jamboree.
Jamboree, right into it.
Jamboree. So we'll play a 2:10 and a 3:20 period. I believe we have Marlboro in Grafton. And then first game is the 13th, so we have a little bit of time to kind of get ready to put in place some systems and plays and things like that. So we do have a little bit of a gap between our first game, which is going to be good. I think the kids will benefit from some added, structured practices and things like that. So
Is the first game Burroughs Cup?
first game is Barrows Cup. Yep.
That one's been circled on your calendar
Oh,
for a while.
I can't wait. Who do we start out with game one?
Start with Marlboro.
Excellent.
Start with Marlboro. Yep.
Split with them last year. It was
Yeah.
a tough game.
Yep. Very, very tough. They usually play
Low
plays very
scoring
tough.
battle.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I expect the same.
We'll put the pressure on you, and we're not going to ask for predictions, certainly, but last 2 years, state tournament has been a goal that was achieved. The players certainly think that's something that's sustainable. Is that one of the check marks on your list?
Yeah, I think as I talk to the team together in terms of what their goals are, I think making the state tournament is always number one. It always comes up. They're excited to kind of get back and compete. I think my biggest goal for the year is just to be in every game and compete every day. I think if we do that and we can put ourselves in good positions to win games, then the outcomes will hopefully take care of themselves. But yeah, the long-term goal is obviously to make the state tournament and hopefully have a little bit of a run. Yeah.
Yeah, those kids, if they're nothing if not predictable, it's always they want to win the Burroughs Cup, make the state tournament, and then see what kind of magic they can harness in doing that.
Let's talk about the coach a little. Last year, we listened to Chet Hallis talk about his history. It took him like an hour and a half.
I was telling
quite
you.
a history back there. Chet was a legend.
Yeah.
You played at Assumption. That's anywhere you play college hockey is impressive. What was your position?
I played both. Started off in college as a forward and then moved back to D for my last year. So it's pretty consistent throughout my careers. I played pretty much wherever they needed me.
Now, did you play for Shrewsbury High?
I did.
Yeah, they won the
Well,
state,
he
the
could.
state
That's right, you did say
championship.
that. Well, he could have. His dad coached at Westboro.
I
If
did
you
have the
really were
option.
loyal,
I
you
did
could have
have
come
the
back
option.
and played for us, but that's all right.
I did.
We weren't quite as good, it sounds like, seeing you won the states. Well, thanks for flipping the script.
Coach, you talked about that flexibility going from a forward position to a defensive position. Is that something you're going to ask your players to do now? Perhaps they've been a left wing the last 4 years, but you want to put them at D. You going to ask them to change hats?
I might. I very well might. I think my job is to find the best place for them to have success and help the team, right? That's the overarching goal. So there's a couple kids I've already talked to about potentially moving positions, and they've been up for it. They've been like, yeah, let's do whatever it takes to win. And then down at the JV level, I know, the message will probably be consistent between me and the other coach, Belbin, that we want them to kind of get some time playing at all positions, because if you can learn all positions, that helps increase your knowledge of the game, so that when you do have a specific skill or a specific element that we ask of you, you now have a better concept for like the whole game itself. So
it's a lot easier to teach a defenseman to keep somebody to the outside when you realize as a winger or as a forward that you'd prefer to be center ice, Chris, right?
Absolutely. Versatility is the key to sports.
So going back to the JV and varsity, I think last year we didn't have 8th graders. How many kids did you have show up for the tryouts this year?
Yeah, what were your numbers for?
Yeah, so total numbers 29. 29. So two goalies and then 27 skaters.
And
So
how large are the rosters? I mean, you got
for games, we'll probably carry probably 20.
Oh, yeah.
20 would
So
probably be the number.
but you'll have like a consistent amount, and then not call-ups. I don't know what you would call them.
Yeah, we have a couple kids that are going to be battling for those varsity spots.
Nice.
So we'll
Competition good.
Yeah, which is good. Competition is good. So I'm excited for that. Yeah.
Oh, I think the kids thrive on it too,
Yeah.
right? They love it.
I read an article recently. I actually can read. I read an article in the Boston Globe.
I saw you with your crayons out, so that makes sense.
Read an article recently, and it was featuring the fact that street hockey is booming again in Massachusetts, which I loved street hockey, lived in a cul-de-sac. We turned it into a street hockey ground up there. Are you seeing this, or is this just rumor and speculation? The kids really running around the streets and playing that beautiful game of street hockey again?
I've seen a little bit, and it's awesome to see, because that's how I grew up too. I had two younger brothers, and I always stuck one in net, and the rest of us just shot at them, right?
So Chris,
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about Waha. And we talked about Westboro being such a hockey-centric town. Chris, you're looking confused. The hockey program has its own booster association, the Westboro Amateur Hockey Association.
It's Waha.
Waha.
Wow, never heard of it.
It's best kept secret in town.
I have a feeling Cashman runs it.
Well, you wouldn't be wrong about that. But they have been pretty active in doing whatever they can to support the program, particularly the middle school, and now continuing to branch out to the varsity. When we go out and we talk to some guys that have kids or coach in other programs, they drool over the thought of having an organization like that in town. How can they help you get that culture that you're looking for and ultimately really get a successful program that is the expectation?
Yeah. The Waha and the Boosters program at the high school are two tremendous programs that we are so lucky to have. They've already helped me out. We actually were able to put in place an online system where we can kind of cut film up and share it with kids, similar to like a huddle used to be for football. So Waha has helped us out with putting that together, which is going to be tremendous. I think the kids are really going to benefit from it. And they've always been reaching out to me, asking how they can help and what ways they can kind of support the program, which is it's awesome to know that somebody has your back, right? That people are looking out for the program and want to best support what we do here. So it's really great to have them. Yeah.
Yeah, I would think maybe as a first-year head coach, knowing that there's a lot of support out there, and there's people who just want to see the program and yourself succeed from the get-go, and that's got to be a nice feeling.
What do you think of the media?
I love you guys.
Yeah, right. What an answer.
Who's your favorite of the three of us?
I'm not even.
It's like picking a favorite. We do have some nice social media, though.
Do you?
Yeah,
they have
we,
actually social media for the hockey now?
Yeah, we've put
Games
together.
are posted. And
yeah, well, you guys obviously do the games live, which is awesome.
they probably put a link, though. And
Yeah,
people
and
can click it.
so we've put together some social media with an Instagram and Twitter and Facebook.
That's
so
new
people
this year?
New within the last couple of years. Yeah, we've kind of revamped it a little bit so that people can follow along and cheer us on and kind of stay
Easier
tuned.
than ever to support the radio.
Maybe one of them, maybe one of our 16 followers.
It could be, yeah.
It's a good chance.
Westboro night.
Westboro Night in Hockey?
Yes.
Last year, I met two people that I'm an outsider, so I don't know all the parents, but I met two grandparents of two kids on the team that came down, but were watching every game up in like Maine. I forget who the child was, but it was so heartwarming to hear.
You are
They
known
were
to warm
watching.
a lot of hearts.
They were watching the broadcast up in Maine, wherever the relatives were from. the
My
grandparents.
brother would watch it from the Cape. He'd watch the games. And
Well, are you checking to see if we can increase our
I
advertising?
think we should be trying to grow the viewers. Yeah,
We talked about, how not only much faster it is, but how much physical it is.
Yeah,
and,
it's
and
violent. It's
Yeah.
in a good way, but you can feel the hits.
Yeah.
You can feel the hits. The kids really do. They're just, the athlete today is stronger. The athlete's faster. He and she are better shape. I mean,
I didn't look like this in high school. My Lord.
Well, he was somewhat svelte, but
Goodness gracious.
you're right. This was like a call. He went to UNH and things just introduced him to beer.
No, none of that happens. This is just too many vegetables is the problem. All right, so we've got our goals set. We want every game to be competitive, but we want to win the Burroughs Cup.
Yep.
We want to be over 500, qualify for that state tournament. I assume another goal where we had success last year, the athletic directors cup.
Yeah. Yep.
We'll win there. What else is on the task list for the Rangers?
Yeah, that's going to be a new challenge because we're defending champs, so we'll have a little bit of a target on our back for the Central Mass Championship there. I think the other part is just to continue to grow the program. That's the goal this year. Is we do have a really young team, and so to just kind of take it day by day and take steps in the right direction to continue to improve everybody physically, mentally, to get kids ready to make the next steps as they continue to rise up through, 8th grade to freshmen and freshmen to sophomores. You guys know some of those are big jumps. So just continuing to grow those kids, but also making sure that we grow the program as well.
So is this almost like the Bruins this year for the Rangers? Not a rebuilding year, but kind of take a deep breath and experiment with some youth, because you only do have the 4 seniors.
Yeah, and I'm always hesitant to say rebuilding, right? Because that usually means a down year. But again, I think we're going to be very competitive. I think it's just a new opportunity for some new kids to take a step forward, right? It's going to be a big sophomore class this year. Bigger was freshmen last year that are going to have to take a big step, and I think they're ready for it. So I think they're up for the challenge, and I look forward to seeing them contribute. So.
Even after producer Lenny has polluted them this fall.
Yes,
you
even
see
after.
The, you
Well,
still see the upside.
We got to break some bad habits, but we'll get there.
Well, one thing they could have learned from the team last year, I thought the team last year got off to a pretty slow start.
Yeah.
But what perseverance. They really turned that season around incredibly.
Yep, they did.
Went through couple of tough losing streaks and then had a great winning streak.
Yeah,
So
put a string
as far as
together.
resilience
The-
goes,
the
learning
revenge
from
tour.
that, no matter how you start, it's really how you finish.
Yeah. And I think they have some great leaders to look up to too, that have kind of set a new standard, so to speak. So I think that last year was a good year, a very good year. Yeah.
Very good year.
until
Very
we went to
good.
Gallo.
Yeah, until we went to Gallo Arena, things really.
Uncle Fred driving the Zamboni,
That was fun.
toothpick in his mouth.
Food down there was great.
Smash burger. Smash burger.
Smashburger was outstanding, that place. Holy cow.
We asked the kids what their favorite rink to play in, and they all went immediately to North Star. But
Surprisingly,
Wow.
the second one was Northern Sports Center.
yeah, that was surprising too. Do you have a favorite rink that?
I've always liked North Star too.
Of course.
We know Chris.
It's
Chris,
home.
The
Chris
cozy
enjoys
confines.
Auburn,
It's
right?
home.
You love Auburn.
Love the
music.
Auburn. Just
You love the DJ.
the amenities
there.
and the attributes of that building.
I
you
lost
just
my
cannot
hearing
be-
for about 3 weeks after being in there. Jeez. So there's no particular barn that you enjoy going into and really destroying the fans by pulling a win out of there. Like I love watching.
Not particularly.
I-
There are a couple that are extra cold that I don't particularly
Yes, Hopedale.
like.
Yeah,
The Hopedale.
It's a cold rink.
They
A
have a
little
loud
extra chill
loud
in there.
fan base.
They do.
Hopedale. They get personal.
One of my favorite things is watching the Bruins play up in Toronto, and they always show that garden or that outdoor area where all the fans amass, and they're always leaving with the worst defeat possible. I enjoy it.
We grew up with an AD named Bill Walsh,
Yes,
who was a
yes.
hockey fan. His
Yep.
kid played hockey. He would tease us every year. If you don't have this many players, Gallo, we're going to cancel the program. But he really liked hockey, and he was a supporter. You have a new AD this year.
We do.
How's the relationship with the AD, and are they big supporters of the hockey program?
Yeah, so Mr. Hansen is the new athletic director this year after Mr. Carlo retired, and so he's been great. You know, I had a chance to work obviously as his assistant in the fall, and you know we have a great relationship. And he was the winter and spring athletic director for the assistant for Johanna for a while. So he's been around the program. He was at most of our games over the last couple years. So I've built up a great relationship with him, and he's fully on board with the hockey program and what it stands for and what we're trying to do. And again, kind of like having Waha and the boosters in your corner. It's nice to know somebody's got your back. So he certainly does.
What's your favorite type of hockey game? A complete and utter, back and forth shootout, or you like a defensive grind?
A little bit of both. A little bit of both.
Depends if you win or not, right?
I know, huh? I actually went up to see the Bruins play Montreal a couple weeks ago, and that was amazing. Just a little back and forth, overtime thriller.
That was a good game.
It was
for a
it was
meaningless
a good game.
That was a great hockey game.
So, like a little bit of everything. I'm probably more defensive minded than offensive minded, but a little bit of scoring doesn't hurt certainly.
So if you're a defensive-minded coach, how are you embracing the way that it's been working in the NHL, where defense is just as involved in the offensive zone as everybody else? And
I love it. I think if you can create offense from the blue line, your team's going to be way better off. I mean, looking at some of these guys that play now, the McAvoys, the Cale Makar kind of players, like the elite.
Brendan Martell.
The Brendan Martells, right?
Hughes.
Yeah, you could go down the line. All these highly skilled defensemen that can create offense from the blue line is certainly impressive, and I love it, yeah.
Overtime rules.
Oh, yeah.
What are they?
So there is overtime this year, which is good. It's exciting.
Cool.
So they're going to go 4-on-4 for 5 minutes. And by the end, if nobody scores, then the game ends in a tie. But if somebody scores, you go home with a W. So
it's 4-on-4, not 3-on-3.
We're going 4-on-4.
Are you already thinking about some matchups there?
How you already thinking? It's a whole different game you got to think of, right?
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, because you can't say my center, my wing. No, do you go 2-2-2
or
do you
3-1? 3 forwards and 1 D. Do you go 2-2?
What's your defense? You go man-to-man probably? You go stick and stay with the zone? Yeah. There's a lot of different things to think about.
So it definitely adds an added element of practice now, because we got to kind of practice that, right? So, yeah.
It was very interesting. They asked your dad and they asked Chet who their favorite player was and their favorite moment of hockey. The most memorable.
That's right.
Oh, that's a great question.
And they came up. I was surprised at some of the answers. First of all, who was the player that you remember, you identified with growing up, like Gretzky, Bork. I think someone like your dad's age would say Bob Orr, right?
Yeah.
What about?
So thinking back when I was really little, over in the neighborhood, right? I believe one of my first words was Bork. So shout out to the grandparents for probably pushing that one on me.
First words. That's great.
But thinking about like one of my favorite players, probably Patrice Bergeron. Like I just loved him. Loved the way he played as kind of a two-way forward, defensive zone, offensive zone. The way that he handled himself in the locker room, in the media, in the community. Like I always thought he was the highest of standards, kind of. And I
hard to argue with that choice.
Yeah. And then what was
your most memorable, your greatest memory of hockey? Like not individual, but like what do you remember as a child or of hockey? Like what moment sticks out to you? Like a part where you went, oh, that was, you just fell in love with the game.
That's a really good question. I don't know if there's one moment.
It's been a courtship for a long
period
period of time.
I feel like that's the cheesy answer, but yeah.
Crazy, that must have been amazing.
Winning states was pretty cool. It was my senior year too as a captain, so that was kind of just the sweetest of endings. So
where were you playing that game?
The Garden.
Oh, at the
Well,
Garden.
At the Garden.
That's
how
got to
could
be
you beat
pretty
that?
incredible.
It was pretty cool.
When was the moment when you were younger when you just realized, yeah, I love the game?
I think just playing with my friends, whether it was on the ice or street hockey or knee hockey, the kids used to do it when they were younger, and going away to tournaments and playing knee hockey in the hallways and having the
Much to
hotel,
the chagrin of every hotel
yeah,
staff.
having the
I thought
hotel
it was
come
when
and
he was
shut you
born and
down.
his dad handed him a hockey stick.
Well, that's also not false. So. But all those moments, I don't know if there's one particular, but all those moments just being with your friends and having fun,
That's right.
that's really what it's all about, right?
Especially nowadays, it's like after high school. Now, the kids now, you don't go from, when you were younger, you go from high school to college. Now there's no real path to college.
Yeah.
So
right.
you have high school, and after high school's over, for the most part, it's over for you.
That was me.
Now
Played
one
junior
thing.
Bruins for a year. Yeah.
One thing that you don't have that we had, which I thought would be an interesting question, is what was your greatest memory? I mean, we all had 1980. I mean, I think
Yeah.
your dad said it. I think Chet said it.
Yeah.
It was just a great moment of hockey.
Because that was a moment that transcended the game.
Right.
But
Yep.
But I mean, playing in the Garden, I know. Talked to Steve Tepper. He goes, it's the one year we made the finals, and they played at the DCU Center. He goes, growing up as a kid, you want to play at the Garden.
Right.
It's always the end goal.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's right.
then the kids talked about it this year. They'd love to do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's get them there.
Why not?
Thoughts on the season as you're still getting to know these players? I mean, you've known a lot of them now because you have been there before, but you've got this season in front of you. What are you looking forward to?
Me personally, I'm looking forward to a new challenge, right? Stepping into some big shoes. Obviously, Coach Hallis had a tremendous legacy and has been around for quite some time. So a new challenge for me that I'm looking forward to, and then watching the kids progress. There's, like we talked about before, a lot of young kids ready to take the next step, and I'm excited to see them kind of take that challenge on and be able to have some success while they do it. So it's a very exciting season, very excited to get going here, and it's certainly an honor and a privilege to be a part of it.
Well, congratulations on the head coaching job. Looking forward to watching the success from high above Rink A as we are situated. Looking forward to it, and best of luck, Coach. Thanks for being here.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Coach. Good luck this
Appreciate
year.
it. Thanks for having me.